your enemies are road ahead of full prophecy to be the greatest beast the world has ever seen. I feed him every day like the bones clean. I feed him all the hate and he goes me. And he gets caught real big, pissed off quick. And if you cross him, you might drop dead. Metaphorically, of course, settling the score. Never getting bored, lots of blood and gold. Always wanting more, feeding from the source. They don't really listen until they feel the force of party. And if you start shit, you be heartless in the darkness. Torn apart quick, you left scars ripped. You be chewed up and discarded. And this world ain't right, won't accept it. Negative energy, I expect it. Once it's in your mind, it's infectious.
Ask yourself, are you better off than you were 100 days ago? Trump came back, not to lead, but to punish. He purged loyal Americans from government, fired heroic generals, demanded loyalty over competence, turned the Justice Department into his revenge machine, let this guy steal your private data and wreck Social Security. Our allies betrayed. Ukraine sold out to Putin, turning our government into a police state, kidnapping American citizens, sending innocent people to foreign hellholes, snatching students off the street for tweeting. Then came the tariffs, markets crashing, retirements wiped out, America isolated, weak, China winning the trade game. He pardoned terrorists and criminals. This isn't a second term. It's Trump's second chance to end America, and it's working. So no, you're not better off. You're not safer. Nothing is cheaper. The economy is worse. Our country is in danger. Just imagine what the next 100 days will bring.
I don't even want to think about it. I don't even want. It's only been 100 days, y'all. It's only been 100 days. We're back in the studio. Welcome back to another episode of The Voice of Reason, our Morons Are Governing America segment, or MAGA, where we cover Donald Trump's first 100 days, where he celebrated the worst first 100 days of any president since they started keeping track of this shit. It's been a complete clown show, man. One executive order after another, stripping people's rights. I don't know, banning paper straws. We have that clip when he was very proud of that one. He did do that.
Which we have evidence that executive orders might not be the binding decree that Donald Trump and MAGA think it is, because when we were in D.C., Jeremy received, now this is something we're going to talk to our elected representatives
about. I was upset, yes.
I was offended. Jeremy received a paper straw, and I thought Donald Trump solved this problem, and I don't understand how these woke straws are getting into our places of food. I don't like it.
No, and they exploded, like he said, because that's how I swear to God, that's what he claimed once, that paper straws explode. I forgot about that clip. All right, so we're going to talk about his disastrous string of interviews, one where he claims a photoshopped image of Abrego Garcia is absolutely 100% real. How dare you question me? Trump administration is growing increasingly desperate, continuing to try and find ways to invoke the Insurrection Act on the American people. His numbers are at an all-time low. Everybody hates his guts, okay? I have evidence of that. The dipshit gives a 100-day speech in Michigan to a half-empty venue where it was just 100 days, promises made, promises kept. I'm the greatest.
We have a list of those promises.
He actually said that I had the greatest first 100 days in presidential history. That's what they're telling everybody. And unbelievable. And we have evidence that this dumb shit has no idea what the Declaration of Independence, which he has hung in his office. I don't think he's ever even read it, because I'm pretty sure he doesn't know how to recursive.
We're pretty sure he thinks the one in his office is the real one.
Right, he thinks the one he shows off in his office, unless they
were like, okay, Donnie, all right,
unless they bleached it and somehow figured a way to make paper that's at 250 years old look brand new. It's not the real one, but he thinks it is. He thinks it is.
Good for him.
So we have a lot to get into. It's going to be another stupid episode. Of course. What else?
It's also May the 4th, by the way.
So it is May the 4th. I forgot about it. Yeah, everybody keeps asking me to play Fortnite today because it's May the 4th.
It's all Star Wars related.
Yeah, I'm playing Call of Duty at the moment. But first, before we get into anything, I wanted to say from both Mike and I'm sure, thank you from the bottom of our hearts. Going back to DC was a dream come true for me. I haven't been there since I was 12 years old. So to go back there again in honor of my father and take a stand, as a veteran for veterans meant a lot to me. And I know it meant a lot to Mike because he's never been to DC before. So I'm sure he really enjoyed himself too. I forced him to walk around the museums and stuff. So I was like, we got to go.
That's what I want to do. I got to see something that I
we can
wanted my
spend
whole
more
life.
time there.
I got to see Archie Bunker's Chair, which I think it's one of the most important shows ever made in this country, and the people that don't understand it, that's why that show exists. But my big takeaway from DC is I spent my whole life venerating that place. And when I finally got there and we were on the lawn and we were looking at the Capitol, I could not stop thinking about the Confederate MAGA assholes smearing shit all along.
I know, right?
So, and considering the state of it and what's happening, the attacks on our government, the attacks on our very freedoms, I wasn't in DC as a tourist to soak in the history. I was there, someone trying to accept the horrible reality of the state of our country, our government, and our freedom. And I didn't take any joy from seeing anything there. I just felt like we need to protect it. That's it.
Yeah, there's that feeling you get when you're there, because it is a very historic place, especially when you're on the National Mall. I mean, you got the Washington Monument on one side of us, and then you turn around 180 degrees and you got the Capitol building.
Yep.
On the other side, you have museums, historic buildings all around you. It's truly, I think it's a special place.
That said, at one point, by accident, I flew at full speed over a speed bump. That was interesting.
We were on live at the time too.
Yeah, and that's right. And at some point, I have a video of myself. I was trying to be. Now, look, I'm not saying I was driving at the moment, but I was driving at the moment. I just had the phone up. I wasn't like staring at it, but I had it up. But I was trying to. Yeah, I was trying to talk and explain that this is crazy that I'm finally here and I'm going to drive on the Great Lawn. There's a track that goes around it, which is where for walking and driving, and it's where you set up so you don't disturb the grass. I think I drove on the walking section because I got a few dirty looks. So I haven't posted that video yet because I'm not sure how implicated it is. But let's just say I may or may not have committed a minor misdemeanor by accident. But
whoops, you're good. You're good. You're still here. So thank you all for that. It was only because of your donations and your support that we were able to go. That being said, this is just the first of many rallies. We're already planning one for Donald Trump's birthday back in DC. Mike and I know exactly what we need to do now to do a mobile broadcast, because this was kind of an experiment.
Not nearly.
We really had no, we really did not have a clue what we were doing. We've never done that before. Mobile streaming is one thing from your phone, but we took laptops, cameras, all that stuff, set it up. Yeah, we literally had a little media tent. It felt actually kind of official. It was pretty legit.
No, we know now that we don't need to make it as complicated with the gear that we have, so it'll actually make things much better, smoother, and better for viewers.
Yeah. So if you want to see more of our broadcasting on location from all these different rallies, I'm also getting involved locally. So I'm going to be mobile streaming a lot of that too. Please donate. We still need funding. We desperately need funding. If anything, we need funding now more than we've ever had or ever have.
Well, because now we could see what we could achieve. Yeah. And we more so want to buy the equipment necessary to get people to see what they want to see. And I know these.
Right.
We were talking with Liz Mkhitaryan there and all these different people that were helping organize it. And, there might not have been as many people as we wanted show up, but through all the streaming that was happening, through all the people that were there was over 100,000 views of the rally. Yeah. And I think it's important to understand, with more fear of people going out to large crowds, especially with ICE, the SS police force, just randomly taking people, and the fear of violence that is growing, there are going to be less and less people that might be willing to go out, especially if it's their first time to a protest.
Right.
So being able to bring that to people at home, but still see that activism is happening, is critical. And that is something we very much want to be a part of.
Right. So you don't have to be in the streets to participate. You can support people like us. I mean, there's other places out there that do the same thing that we do. We've more so decided to focus on the activism part of it than trying to do things like debate MAGA and stuff like that. So
we're past that. I don't care about them.
Yeah, I don't have any time for them. I don't want to debate them. I don't want to hear their opinions on a goddamn thing. I don't. Okay, that's just, maybe I'm being harsh. I don't think that you'll disagree with me though. Yeah. So anyway, there's a lot going on this month. It's going to be a big month. It's going to be a big year. and we plan on bringing every second of it to you as much as we possibly can. We would love to bring you more and more content. I would do all day streams.
We've talked about what we would do if all we had to do
Right.
was stream and make content all day.
I mean, yeah, I would literally sit here and just do news breaks as it happens on stream. You know what I mean? There's a lot of different ways we could bring everything to people, but we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. All right, let's get into this shit because it's insane. First, let's talk about the most ridiculous idea of the week, which is this image here. That is Donald Trump posting an AI image of himself as the Pope. And if you don't think that's fucking insane enough, the White House Twitter account reposted that.
So they've been posting this absolutely, I'm just going to go out there and say unprofessional content. It's all AI stuff to basically make Trump look like a superhero king emperor.
Yeah.
Okay, fine. We're getting that. That's fine. The fact that he's implying, because he was in an interview, he was asked, maybe not a full interview, but he was asked in passing, how about you being the Pope or whatever? And he's like, sure, I'd love that. The man isn't Catholic. Now, I am not religious. I am not a very pro-religious person, but I understand the differences between, let's just pretend he's an ordinary American Christian and not just a Catholic. Mm-hmm. He's not even that, but you can't be the Pope if you're not Catholic.
It's like making the Antichrist the Pope. It's like making Satan himself the Pope.
No, but it goes to show you is because there was a time where he might have been able to like be clever and joke about it, but now he's so demented that he actually believes that that's a reality. Like, sure, why couldn't I be the Pope? Many people have asked if I could be the Pope. No one's asked if he could be the Pope. And let me explain something to you. Again, not the biggest defender of religion, am I? But the offense that should be taken from this guy to just say you should be the leader of your religion. I should imagine if he said, not that he would, but imagine if he said that about Islam or Judaism or anything. Like what? If the Dalai Lama dies, he should be like, sure, I'll be a Buddhist. Okay, great.
It's insane. I mean, imagine, I hate doing the imagine if, but imagine if Joe Biden did this shit. I mean, at least Joe Biden's Catholic. He is actually more qualified to be the Pope than the guy who cannot quote a single Bible passage and held the Bible upside down during a photo op. Anyway, all right. So it gets worse though with this Pope shit because MAGA's they're 100% for everything. This is why I don't bother debating or talking or even replying. I do reply on TikTok to MAGA comments just because it makes them look stupid.
That's like what I do on Instagram. I usually, like, some schmuck says something, and then before I have a chance, there's a whole bunch of awesome, loyal followers that demolish them. Actually, you know who's been doing that a lot is James, our host for Monday. He goes on and he doesn't even pretend to debate them. He just calls them silly names and makes fun of them, and it pisses them off so bad. I love it.
But honestly, though, I've seen a lot less and less MAGA in my comments. But let me real quick. I went to
one thing.
Yeah,
that I just want to show one thing that I about the Pope thing. I thought this was great.
About that. That's the only reason he wants to be the Pope.
Yep.
That's the true reason he wants to be the Pope.
All right, I had to get that.
You know, Donald Trump can't wear white.
No, that's not a good idea for him. No tan suits for Donald Trump.
All right, so before I want to talk about how I think Donald Trump is cooked, and we're going to get into some of this stuff here. This is the AI video that MAGA has made of Donald Trump being the Pope, and I had to take the music out because of YouTube, but I had to add some sound effects just to make it fun. So we'll talk.
Very authentic. He tried to keep it very low key.
Right. Here you go. Yep. That looked like Joe Biden, actually. Yep. I'm sure that's. Was
that a holy water super soaker?
I think so.
De Niro as a priest?
Yes. But that's. I had this because you can't take this shit serious. I know. It's so pathetic.
That's pretty good. That's exceptional.
Yeah, it's time to get him out of the closet, guys. Because there's men that made these videos, like they're all about glazing and gargling his balls and stuff. It's just so gross. Watching men emasculate themselves for this guy, these weirdos. Like,
well, but let's be fair. We're making fun of him, so let's give him a fair shot. Let's take a look at his first 100 days, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, let's do that. But Donald Trump is cooked. He is so cooked. And the reason I say that is I went to my first 50-51 meeting last night locally. And not only was I impressed with the turnout, but I was super impressed with the demographic. Now, our high school mascot is called the Millionaire.
Really?
I swear to God, it is literally the most white privileged shit you've ever heard in your life. But we live in we have a row of houses called Millionaire Row. There's some very wealthy, affluent white people in this town. A lot of them voted for Donald Trump because they were under the impression, they watched the Fox News. They thought they were being told the truth. They thought that he was going to make their lives better. So he voted for them. And they thought all those wokies were just evil people funded by George Soros. But they're finding out that
still haven't got our check yet, by the way.
Right. We're still looking for George Soros's funding. We have yet to find it. I don't know where it's hiding. But a lot of
got intercepted by Elon.
Now, the old white boomer crowd overwhelmingly voted for Donald Trump. My city overwhelmingly voted for Donald Trump, and I guarantee a lot of those people. Maybe I can't guarantee it, but I'm under the assumption that at least some of the people in that room voted for Donald Trump, and now they are in small town Pennsylvania helping organize protests against him with Gen Z running the show. Okay, Gen Z was organizing this event, and the boomers are participating and listening to Gen Z.
That's amazing.
I think that, to me, was the most inspiring part of it. They were asking questions. They didn't argue with the kids.
Wow.
I mean, they had to be in their late teens, early 20s.
Yeah,
the one guy was probably in his late 20s. He was a teacher. Okay. But it was just absolutely amazing. I got chills. I live streamed the whole thing. It's on our TikTok page. That's if you guys want to check it out. But yeah, I just think that made me feel like Donald Trump is absolutely cooked. And they even brought up
boomers and Gen Z working together. That's
cats
and dogs.
Donald Trump is uniting America, but completely against him. He is driving his own base away from him over to us.
Well, we're towards, I don't know where we're going to fit it in the show, but like right now it's slated towards the end. We're going to show you exactly what Donald Trump thinks of the people who voted for him. Some instances directly, especially regarding small businesses, and some instances just on his opinions on what his job is as president. So it's interesting that the facade is gone. Like, he now is just talking out of his dirty diaper. People aren't even trying to fix what he's saying. We have interviewers on both sides of the spectrum force feeding him information, and he's too demented with dementia and syphilis, allegedly, to actually be able to respond to these things in any coherent way. The guy is a walking bowl of Jell-O pudding in his head.
Speaking of which, interviewers and his brain being Jell-O pudding, let's get into some of these clips. The first clip we're going to get into is Donald Trump. This is insane. Okay, this clip, where's the picture at? Let me pull up the picture. This is the picture that Donald Trump is talking about. Okay. Obviously, anybody with half a brain can see that the MS-13 is clearly photoshopped into the image. Right. Okay. Now, and those tattoos do not mean that.
Well, what I was assuming is, whether they do or don't, whoever was presenting that image and preparing it for release by the administration was coming up with some number scheme. Like, we know that gangs and other groups use imagery to represent letters and numbers. In fact, we're going to show someone who does that specifically in a few minutes. But, the idea is we could see that at the very least, those letters and numbers are put there with Photoshop to maybe imply what they mean with those tattoo images. But Donnie Trump? No. No. This is a post he made, and we're going to see the video of him talking about it, but he doubled down on it. This is what he said. This is the hand of the man that the Democrats feel should be brought back to the United States because he is such a, quote, fine and innocent person. They said he is not a member of MS-13, even though he's got MS-13 tattooed on his knuckles. And two highly respected courts found that he was a member of MS-13, beat up his wife, etc. This is all lies. I was elected to take bad people out of the United States, among other things. I must be allowed to do my job, make America great again. But again, you think that's vague? Here's the video.
The video is worse. Okay, we think that he truly believes, I don't think he's trying to convince people that this is a real tattoo. We think that they showed it to Donald Trump in this form, and he looked at it and goes, he's got MS-13 tattooed on his knuckles. I don't think Donald Trump, because Donald Trump is the man.
No, Don, no. Mr. Trump, that's not.
My favorite thing to refer to is Donald Trump's belief that stealth jets are invisible. So this, to me, is not surprising, but he really does. He truly believes it. Here, watch
the giant water tap from Canada.
There's a giant faucet somewhere in the northern border that Canada's refusing. He sent military troops to turn it on. All right, anyway, let me play this clip.
He said he wasn't a member of a gang. And then they looked, and on his knuckles, he had MS-13.
There's a dispute.
Well, wait a minute. He had MS-13 on his knuckles tattooed.
He had some tattoos that are interpreted that way. But let's move on.
Wait a minute. Hey, Terry.
He doesn't
He did not have the letter MS-13.
It says MS-13.
That was photoshopped. So let me
that
just...
was photoshopped. Hey, they're giving you the big break of a lifetime. You're doing the interview. I picked you because, frankly, I never heard of you, but that's okay. I picked Terry. But you're not being very nice. He had MS-13 tattooed.
We'll agree to disagree. I want to move on to something else.
Terry, do you want me to show you the picture?
I saw the picture.
Please, yes, show the picture.
Here we go.
Don't Photoshop it. Go look at his hand. He had MS-13.
He did have tattoos that can be interpreted that way. I'm not an expert on them. I want to turn to Ukraine, sir. I want to get to Ukraine.
No.
He's trying to let him get out of it.
As clear as you can be, not interpreted. This is why people no longer believe the news, because
when
it's
he was
fake
photographed
news.
in El Salvador,
he literally believes. Wait. That is what the tattoo is. That those letters and numbers. He said it to you. The host said, the interviewer said, that is not real. And Donald Trump said, no, that's real. He literally had it. Do you want me to show you the picture? He had MS-13.
We were we were joking about this on the way to DC. We were just gonna take some Sharpies and write some tattoos on our fingers and be like, "Come and get us, ICE."
Oh, here's some other things that, because Donald Trump just wakes up every morning screaming, seeing it. I mean, look what the woke moms are doing. They're putting it on the magnets.
Oh no! There's an MS, a 1 and a 3. Oh God!
I know, and I found. This one is particularly scary.
Oh my God, it's in the alphabet soup now.
This is why you don't eat GMO food, because it's woke.
It's MS-13.
And then the scariest one, Trump found this when he was outside staring at the trees and the birds and nature. It's in the clouds now. I mean, that's terrifying. The clouds that see Marjorie Taylor Greene trying to tell you they're controlling the weather.
I know, this is so dumb,
right,
bro.
But what's really happening is
so embarrassing.
It's okay for certain people to have tattoos that are gang related, but not others. Now, I'm not saying those were gang tattoos. I'm just saying if you're of a certain persuasion, it's assumed they are. But let's go one step further. What about Pete Hegseth, our defense secretary? The guy is covered in white supremacist tattoos. Now, a lot of people that will defend him will say they're just patriotic American tattoos.
Oh, no, they're not.
That a lot of them are not only listed in our own government, FBI, CIA databases as known gang activity tattoos, that these are symbols used by Aryan Brotherhood, other things. Here's a perfect one, the 8-8. That cross is considered a Heil Hitler because HH, 8-8. That's a thing that's known. If you look at the stars in his flag on his arm, they don't have a normal number of stars. It is very specifically the same as that cross. Okay, he recently got a Islamic tattoo on his arm that says infidel in Farsi, right? I mean, the guy is a walking, talking billboard for Nazism, white supremacy. But it's okay if he's got gang tattoos as long as that his skin isn't brown. So if Hegseth stays in the sun too long and tans, Donald Trump might deport him.
Right. So if you're brown and you're wearing a Bulls hat, you're MS-13.
Or a hoodie.
You're a gang member.
That's a 2 points. The hoodie's the 2 points.
Right. So, and what I don't understand is, like, he apparently we're at war with El Salvador, but he seems to be just deporting anybody that's darker skin. Whatever. This is the world we live in. But Donald, I'm telling you, I don't see Donald Trump ending for this next term. I don't see him finishing this term. I do not see it. Whether he gets 25th Amendment or impeached or something's going to happen, he's not going to be around. I don't mean that like as in he's gonna, croak. But well, then again, his diet is all McDonald's. I don't know what's keeping the guy alive to begin with.
He's rich. That's what it is.
Right. He eats McDonald's so much they put it in the goddamn AI video. You know what I mean? The Pope was McDonald's. Come on. Really? Okay, so let's go to another video from that same interview. Because Donald Trump was asked what the Declaration of Independence means to him. And he makes it painfully obvious that he's never read it and probably can't read it. I'm sure Donald Trump reads at a 5th grade level. Actually, I know he does because the first administration, the people said they damn near had to put on a puppet show in order for, I'm serious, not being sarcastic, but they damn near had to put on a puppet show for Donald Trump to be even interested in this daily security briefings. They had to cut it down to like just the dumbest language possible. And they had to constantly say his name to keep his
attention. A minute. Do you think it was like in Spaceballs when Dark Helmet's playing with his toys? Oh, I love you, Lone Star.
Yes, it's exactly what I think of. Somebody check the front top desk drawer of the Oval Office.
He's just got little toys in there.
He's got Barbies.
Little Happy Meal toys, like the old ones.
One of them's him, all built. I am sure. All right, we're getting off topic, but here's Donald. What's the Declaration of Independence means to Trump? Oh, dear God.
And of course, you have the Declaration of Independence.
What does it mean to you?
Well, it means exactly what it says. It's a declaration. It's a declaration of unity and love and respect, and it means a lot. And it's something very special to our country.
Lincoln's portrait up there. I'm not familiar.
So I would like to just point out, I'm not a constitutional scholar, but I have read the Declaration of Independence. It's not a hefty read. It's quite brief. It is not in any way about love and unity.
No.
It is about saying we don't want to be fucking taxed by your tariffs anymore. We want to govern ourselves. Go pound salt, king.
It was a declaration of war, basically.
Yes.
Was, dude, people were executed for carrying that around. You know what I mean? That was written treason at the time to defy the king. But I want to play this again because the clip's only 20 seconds long. Just watch the reporter's face when he realizes that Donald Trump has no clue. He's like, sorry.
Of course, you have the Declaration of Independence.
What does it mean to you?
Well, it means
there it comes.
It says it's a declaration. It's a declaration of unity and love and respect, and it means a lot. And it's something very special to our country.
It's like, what?
He's like, how do I work with this clown?
I know.
Now, keep in mind, this is the same thing as I forgot how many years ago it was, but someone was like, "Oh, Mr. Trump, could you? What's your favorite book of the Bible?" And he's like, "Oh, that's not fair. I like all of them because Bible and nice books, religion." The guy it's not so much that he hasn't read the documents that he claims to have. Okay. It's that we know, even if he could read at a sufficient level, he's too stupid to even understand what any of it is. Don't forget, one of his oldest teachers said he was the dumbest student he ever had. Donald Trump's own mother said he was one of the dumbest people she has ever met. Donald Trump is not smart. He failed upwards because our country is designed to allow pieces of garbage with connections to fail upwards. That's it. That's why Donald Trump is here right now. And a bunch of morons decided, yeah, I like what he has to say. He's racist enough like I am. I'll vote for him. That's what happened.
Donald Trump has been propped. The reason Donald Trump has failed and constantly kept going is he's been propped up by Russian money this entire time. That's not even allegedly. That's a verifiable fact. Trump Towers is a perfect example of that. So, all right, let's get into his first 100 days. I like the comment. It threw me off. All right, so let's get into the first 100 days. I'm going to show you news reporting of his first 100 days. And I'm going to play a clip of Caroline Leavitt talking about his first 100 days. You're going to see a little bit of a disparity. Okay, here's the news clip. This is so great.
Poll of registered voters finds that Trump's overall approval rating is now underwater. 44%. That's right. Only 44% approve the job he's doing, while 55% disapprove. The president is also underwater on the issues of immigration, foreign policy, the economy, tariffs, and inflation. Trump receives his best marks on border security. He has 55% approve. Based on Trump's first 100 days, voters are now also less optimistic about the future. 38% say they feel encouraged about the next 4 years, while 51% are discouraged. Those numbers were at 45% and 84% respectively at the 100-day mark of Trump's first term back in 2017.
So a separate Reuters Ipsos poll found President Trump's overall approval rating at 42%. Just 37% approve of his handling of the economy. Trump's worst ever rating on that question. Meanwhile, 45% approve of his handling on immigration.
Yeah, we're going to talk about
just to be clear. Oh, go ahead, Jeremy.
Oh no, we're going to talk about Donald or his reaction to the economy in a minute. That's just hilarious.
Before we get to the Nazi propagandist in the press room, let's just look at it very clearly. Okay, this is a ABC poll from the Washington Post, and it's very clear. His approval rating is at around 39%. Okay, it is. I should have put the graphic up, but it shows this Trump, Biden, first Trump, Obama, and Bush. Okay. Yeah. Bush was like his first 100 days was like at 65% approval. Obama was like at 63. Okay. Trump 1 was at like 51. Biden, because it was already a polluted world we lived in, was lower. And now this Donald Trump 2 is the lowest. Okay. But here's a reason. Okay, here's another one. Report card. First 100 days. Most people give him an F. It's also a strange coincidence that this is a PBS poll and Donald Trump decided to defund PBS, but that's another thing.
Yeah, I'm sure it's
let's show the Caroline Leavitt video, and then I'm going to go through one of his sycophants, what he actually posted to praise Donald Trump as his 100-day accomplishments. It's going to make you shit yourself.
Yep. All right, so this is what the White House press secretary KK Caroline has been. This is what she is. She lies so flawlessly. It's amazing with such confidence. I thought Mike Johnson was
better
bad
than anyone I've ever seen.
And JD Vance, I thought he was bad, but she probably is the best at this. Wow.
Today officially marks 100 days of promises made and promises kept by President Trump. This has truly been the most historic start to a presidency in American history.
I mean, that's
after building the greatest economy in the world in his first term as president. President Trump is in the process of doing that all over again. The American people trust in President Trump. And thanks to President Trump, Americans are seeing price relief for the first time in years.
So they're not solving the problem. They're just going on stage going, everything's better. Yep. Prices are lower. Gas is lower. Dude, we were in DC. Gas was like $5.50 a gallon.
Yeah, it was actually absurd.
We were like, that can't be right. That's got to be diesel, right? Like,
oh my God, we did say that. We were like,
yeah, we were like, that can't be right.
It's not.
And
look, the thing is we're at the point now where they could ignore. I mean, they're going to ignore polls and ignore public outcry, whatever. But the more and more people that do disapprove and are talking to each other about it, the less likely they're going to be to doubt themselves when they see this stuff and go, wow, maybe I'm just seeing something in a small little location. Maybe it's great. No, because what's happening is everyone's starting to talk about it with each other. Just like Jeremy pointed out at that 50-51 or whatever it's called. I can never remember. It might have been organized by Gen Z, but boomers are showing up because now it's affecting them. And we can go into a whole thing about how a majority of boomers seem to be very, let's just say, introspective when it comes to how things affect people. But when I went to a local protest at one of my representatives' office, 90% of everyone there was in their mid to late 40s or older in boomer age. Okay, the boomers are now starting to realize, maybe they don't understand the scope of it, but they're starting to realize that Donald Trump is not helping them. He is hurting them. And that is something that you could just keep lying about, but the people know what's happening. We're talking about it. We're seeing it. It's not that complicated.
I agree. So, all right. So before I get into the next video, we're at the halfway mark of the show. I want to just remind everybody, if you want any more information on where to find us on social media, TikTok, Instagram, Blue Sky, all that stuff is in the link tree in our bio or on the channel page, whichever platform you're watching on, it's everywhere. Plus, we have it in the description of this video. Also, our GoFundMe information is there as well. Again, all the stuff we raise goes towards making this like an official studio. I mean, I know it's my spare bedroom, but it is a studio.
I'm in a nook in my basement, but we do what we got to do. The show is more important than the location.
Right. Presentation and equipment is important when doing a podcast. And we've improved substantially from where we started. I will say that, but we do have a long way to go. So we will get there. But all right, let's go back into it. So I want to go over the one I have a gripe with, because I thought paper straws were done. And that was one of the things that Donald Trump was very vocal about for some reason. Like when I read this the one day, I'm like, this is one I hate, when I can't tell if it's satire or real.
You just don't know.
When I read Donald Trump signs an executive order banning paper straws, I'm like, get the fuck out of here. There's no way. There's no way. And then I read it and I just put this is one of those facepalm like emojis, just like, God damn it. This is real. This is not the Onion.
What do they think is their accomplishments, right? Because if they're going to say he's doing great stuff, let's see what they mean. This is a representative who lives inside of Donald Trump's asshole, like full on. So this is 100 days of President Trump, 100 days of promises made, promises kept, 100 days of conservative victories for our country. Let's list the 10 of them. Secure borders. He did nothing to increase security of borders. So that's a lie. U.S. energy dominance. No.
We are screwed. Nobody's buying our oil.
Women's sports, that's not a real thing, because they literally were attacking like 3 athletes in the entire country that were even in these sports. So no. Also, the women that are in them that are trans are women. Trade accountability, that doesn't even mean anything, because no one's trading with us anymore. Trade accountability, what the fuck does that mean? Safe communities. That's a little vague, because let's just say, for sake of argument, he put more cops on the streets. I don't see that.
But he also put more criminals on the streets.
More criminals on the streets. We're going to get into that in a minute. Government efficiency. Okay. Fiscal responsibility, by him playing golf and spending about $100 million in golf in his first 100 days, spending about a quarter of that at the golf course. And now they're planning a $100 million military parade for his birthday. Election integrity. That doesn't make any sense, especially when Donald Trump several times now has said he has won because the election was rigged for him. Global leadership. The entire planet has rejected us and won't even talk to us anymore. And number 10, because you can't even fill a list of 10 lies. They had to leave the 10 one being much more.
To be continued.
10 accomplishments, and they could not list 10.
It's so stupid, man. They've accomplished nothing. They tanked the economy. They've divided a nation. All our allies are now buying. China's buying Canadian oil now. They're like, we don't need your oil. Other countries have oil. Like that, we're being cut out of the equation entirely. But these people want you to believe that we're the strongest we've ever been.
We're the weakest we've ever been, and this is what happens when an empire falls. And you want to know why we're an empire? Because we have a shitty emperor making decrees instead of, remember, he's the great negotiator. And he also said that anyone who governs by executive order is weak and can't get things done. Keep in mind, before I show you this graphic, Donald Trump has control of the House, the Senate. Okay,
everything.
He has control.
They still can't do shit.
The executive branch, the legislative branch, and for all intents and purposes, even though the SCOTUS is slightly pushing back, he has the SCOTUS in his pocket. But he still is making executive orders in numbers never seen before. By the way, executive orders are all being overturned in court because they're not actual laws. They're just suggestions, and they're all illegal. But let's take a look at this. Cumulative executive orders in the first 100 days of each presidency. As of today, basically, Donald Trump in 2025, in his second term, keep that in mind, 100 days into his second term, 137 executive orders.
That's insane.
Joe Biden in his 100 days, 40-ish. Trump won less than that. Barack Obama, even less than that. George Bush, Even less
3.
than that. So Donald
Bush
Trump
was like,
is
I can
now
do it.
telling you that he is incapable of negotiating any legislation with his own party.
Right.
Okay, because don't forget, again, his entire party, it's not the Republican Party, it's the Trump Party. His entire party is in control of every aspect of our government. They are purging lifelong workers from all of our departments so they could keep putting in more Trump sycophants, and they still can't get anything done. And you want to know what Donald Trump said about executive orders? It's straight from his mouth. This is from 2016 in a town hall. The country wasn't based on executive orders. Right now, Obama goes around signing executive orders. He can't even get along with the Democrats as he goes around signing all these executive orders. It's a basic disaster. You can't do it. What is Donald Trump doing? The exact same fucking thing.
Always projection. Always projection. Okay, well, let's look at one of the. Well, don't forget we're all female now too, according to the executive orders that Donald Trump has signed. That was one of them, declaring that we're all this the sex at conception. Okay, basic biology was failed apparently.
Well, hey, you know why I'm all for that? Because now all these people that are Republicans that thought they were safe, when are they going to start enforce jerking off laws? That's murder.
Will.
Isn't that murder?
That's murder.
So I saw an interesting argument. I'm going to do it here. It's a clip that I posted. I reposted on Instagram.
Yeah.
And it was an argument that it is a biological fact. It is documented. You can't say it doesn't happen. That there are times where when you have twins gestating, one will consume the other one.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And instead of twins, you are left with one child if that child comes to term. Yeah. Well, according to Republicans that say life begins at conception, if that child, unborn, kills his or her twin, they should arrest that baby the minute they're born because that was murder.
Don't give him any ideas, dude. All right, so let's watch the video that he's very proud of. I believe this is where he says paper straws explode. He was so proud of this one, but this is the paper straws executive order.
Oh, yeah, Diana, it was awesome. Sorry to interrupt, Jeremy.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It was great seeing everybody. That was probably the best part of the whole experience was meeting everybody. But here you go.
This is an executive order relating to the use of paper straws. As you've consistently identified, nobody really likes paper straws.
Number one trending. Can you believe it? A paper straw was number one trending for 3 years.
How could you...
The environmental impact of plastic straws versus paper straws is entirely unclear. This has cost both the government and private industry an absolute ton of money and left consumers all over the country wildly dissatisfied with their straws. So we're asking
wildly dissatisfied with their straws.
Government, federal departments and agencies to look at their existing procurement processes, and we're asking your Domestic Policy Council to look holistically at this issue to address it, and it really is something that affects ordinary Americans in their everyday lives.
We're going back to plastic.
Oh, it affects them, not like gas prices or fucking food availability.
On occasion, they break, they explode. If
they fucking explode.
Ridiculous situations.
Okay. I will admit that I didn't like the paper straw.
No one likes paper straws.
But I wasn't wildly dissatisfied with it. It did its purpose. It got the liquid into my mouth. That was the whole purpose of it.
It shows you.
It didn't explode.
It shows you exactly how populism works and why, like you always tell me, idiocracy is our future, because he's saying, I'm making an executive order because no one likes paper straws. Number one, okay, sure. We don't actually know that no one likes paper straws. No one really does, but no one cares about them. They are what they are. You don't pass laws, not that he is, because it's an executive order, but you don't start making decrees just on what people like or not, because then you start, I don't know, no one likes getting shots for vaccines. I guess we'll just ban vaccines because no one likes getting them. See how that fucking works, that logic? It didn't cost taxpayers any money. It cost private businesses. They told you, they will always tell you what their concern really is. They didn't like the idea of manufacturers having to shift how they manufacture straws. That's it. That's the only thing. It cost some CEO 0.5% of his bonus that year. And they were like, oh no, we don't want to do this.
Yeah.
That's it. Meanwhile, you want to know how bad the economy is doing? Target just lowered their CEO's pay by 46% because the boycott against Target is working. Think about that.
That's insane.
Target lowered its CEO's pay by 46%.
Not enough.
Because their company is failing because they abandoned DEI initiatives.
That's what you get. Oh, also the Trump effect is hit worldwide. Everybody,
that's true.
Every group or candidate that is aligned with MAGA or the Trump administration is losing, and they are losing big. Canada is a good example of it because the Liberal Party winning in Canada was unheard of until the Donald Trump effect started to take hold. And it didn't take long for the effect to take hold. It took less than 100 days for the entire world to unite against this.
You know what I call the Donald Trump effect? Proud fascism, because that's what it is.
Pretty much. But let's talk about the economy, because Donald Trump doesn't give a shit if there's a recession. We have a clip of him saying so. And he also says that maybe this year you'll have to buy, I don't know where he gets these examples from, but 2 dolls instead of 30 for Christmas. We got to acknowledge the fact that there's going to be empty shelves here soon because there's nothing coming into the United States right now, folks. China is basically sending us, they are sending to troll us empty shipping containers. that is not even a joke. That is real. But before we get into that, I want to show you a clip from the campaign trail. Donald Trump in September, when the stock market was breaking records, his claim was the only reason it's breaking records, it's not because Joe Biden's doing a good job. It's because people think, the world thinks that he's going to win the election. That's why the stock market was doing good, not because of Joe Biden's policies that he enacted to clean up the mess of his first term. I think a lot of people forget that. Yeah, Joe Biden had it rough. Look who he followed up.
Yeah, and look what he accomplished after following that up.
Right, in such a short amount of time. I mean, statistically, Joe Biden accomplished more than any first-term president in the United States.
Given the circumstances, yes.
Yeah. So
our economy was the best in the world, and now it's the worst in the world.
Right. Less than 4 months ago, we were the envy of the world. That was our title.
It came out of COVID.
The United States economy was the envy of the world when Donald Trump took office. See, if he would have played golf and, again, just shut the fuck up and just taking credit for it like he always does, everybody would have, the approval rating would have been up. Nobody would have given a shit. But no, he's crashing the economy. He's going to sporting events. He wants to do a military parade for himself using taxpayer money. But here's the example of Donald Trump taking credit for something he had nothing to do with.
You know, a lot of people say the only reason the stock market's high is everyone thinks I'm going to win the election. I believe that's true. A lot of the biggest, smartest, Uncle Sam, look, it's Uncle Sam. Uncle Sam is here.
Okay. Yeah. So
now let's see how he really feels, right?
Yep. Today, this is Biden's stock market, not Trump's. I didn't take over until January 20th. Tariffs will soon start kicking in, and companies will start moving into the USA in record numbers. Our country will boom, but we have to get rid of the Biden overhang. Yeah, that's what this is, ladies and gentlemen. Overhang. Mm-hmm. This will take a while. Has nothing to do with tariffs, and only has left us with bad numbers. But when the boom begins, it will be like no other. Be patient. Okay. And none of this started happening because the stock market went up after Donald Trump won. It did a lot. Yeah, Tesla stock went through the roof. It was like $400 a share. None of this started crashing until his tariffs talk. Now, the boy who cried tariff.
What people need to understand is the fundamental thing about tariffs is there's going to be a lag based on the fact that you don't buy to order, right? You have to place orders so that you anticipate your business. So the shelves are going to start getting empty because there's no one in our ports dropping off new material, new goods, new anything. So just in time for July, we were talking about this while we were driving around DC, just in time for July 4th, there's not going to be anything on the shelves. Hot dogs are going to be nowhere to be found. They'll be too expensive. No one's going to be able to actually enjoy the summer because all the goods that are supposed to be here to help us get through the summer are supposed to be arriving right now, and all our ports are empty. Okay. Right. And just so you know, Donald Trump doesn't actually believe in helping American businesses. He believes in helping the oligarchy. Okay, an oligarchy exists above the rights and the function of the government, of the people, because it is allowed to just exist as an enemy that extracts wealth from its population. And the reason we know that Donald Trump doesn't care is because he will tell you blatantly. Question on an interview we're about to go into a little bit more. Are you considering tariff relief for small businesses? Now, notice he doesn't say tariffs don't need relief because they're going to help us. It's a moment where he admits that they're not going to do anything. Trump's response was, why do you always mention, a couple of little businesses? What about the car business? He doesn't care about small businesses. He doesn't care about you. Your little racist mom and pop bakery shop that wants to not bake cakes for gay people, you're going to go out of business, especially in your shitty red state that's going to not do anything but enact Trump policies to hurt you.
Right. And I think he honestly thinks that there's going to be some boom in the end. I think he believes this stuff. Like he doesn't
understand any of this, so he's just living in his own fantasy world.
Right. Like keep in mind that Donald Trump's tariff expert is Peter Navarro, the guy that just got out of prison. Remember that guy? Now, Peter Navarro has written several books. I don't know if we've talked about this in the past. Peter Navarro has written several books where he quotes a specific tariff expert. There is nobody thinks that tariffs are a good thing, especially in the way that these guys are using it. The person's name that he quotes in several books is Ron Vera. Okay. Turns out Ron Vera is made up. Ron Vera is an anagram. If you will move letters around, it spells Navarro. So Donald Trump is getting tariff advice from a guy who quoted fake experts on tariffs because no economist would back his insane claims.
You know who else does that? And
that's
known
crazy
for doing
to me.
that? Donald Trump used aliases to prove his own superiority all the time.
That's insane to me. But let me play a video of Donald. This is Donald Trump saying he's okay with a recession.
This is recently on Meet the Press. The interview was like a few weeks ago, but this is when it aired.
Yeah. Honestly, mind-blowing.
And I want to know what you think about that. Are you comfortable with the country potentially dipping into a recession for a period of time if you are able to achieve your long-term goals?
Well, you say some people on Wall Street say, well, I tell you something else. Some people on Wall Street say that we're going to have the greatest economy in history.
No, nobody's saying that.
Why don't you talk about them? Because some people on Wall
not.
Street say this is the
That's what I'm
greatest
getting
thing
at.
that
That's what I'm getting at, though.
So
It's
dumb
the
because
same
he doesn't even
question.
understand
There are
the
people
help
on
he's
Wall
being
Street say
given.
this is going to be the greatest windfall ever happened.
And that's my question.
He's
Over the
arguing
long
when
term,
really she gave him the
is it
softball
okay in the
that he
short
could
term
just
to have a
answer.
recession?
Look, everything's okay. What we
Everything's
are, This is
okay.
a transition period. I think
Are
we're
you
gonna be
okay
fantastic.
with a recession? Mr. President of the United States, the guy who's in charge of it all. Yeah. Everything's okay. Everything
So you know what?
is computer.
You know what? Here's the thing, right? The beauty of this is we know Donald Trump is a perennial goalpost kicker, but he's now setting himself up to not be able to weasel out of anything because now that it's so bad, he's doubling down saying, okay, this part is left over from Biden, but as soon as my tariffs take over, everything will be better. Well, those tariffs start to take over like this month. So you know what? Let's be fair. Let's see what happens in the next month and see how wonderful everything goes. Okay, do you want to know? This is from the Save interview. I'm going to go away from the economy for a second because at this point, we all know what we're seeing. We know what he's saying. And now you're right. He's right. Time will tell. And we're about to see it. But
oh, yes, we are.
This Meet the Press interview really got to the heart of some fundamental beliefs of Donald Trump. Okay. And this is where you really need to pay attention to what he is saying. In an interview last month with Meet the Press, Secretary of State Marco Rubio said, yes, of course, when asked whether every person of the United States is entitled to due process. Trump, however, isn't so sure. Quote, I don't know. I'm not a lawyer. I don't know, Trump replied when asked by Meet the Press moderator Kristen Welker whether he agreed with Rubio. His comments came during a wide-ranging interview at his Mar-a-Lago resort in Florida. When Welker tried to point out what the Fifth Amendment said, Trump suggested that such a process would slow him down too much because he has a goal of just getting rid of brown people. He quote, I don't know. It may say that, but if you're talking about that, then we'd have to have 1 million or 2 million or 3 million trials, he said.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, that's how it works, bud. We have thousands of people that are some murderers and some drug dealers and some of the worst people on earth. I was elected to get them the hell out of here, and the courts are holding me back from doing it. He's telling you he does not believe in due process, but it gets worse.
Yeah.
But even given those numbers that you're talking about, don't you need to uphold the Constitution of the United States as president?
I don't know.
I don't know, Trump replied. I have to respond by saying, again, I have brilliant lawyers that work for me, and they are going to obviously follow what the Supreme Court said. Now, he's hoping that the Supreme Court will rule that he's allowed to do whatever he wants. Do you see how he's not saying my job is to uphold the Constitution? My job is to do whatever the courts say I'm allowed to do. Also, when you took the oath of office for the second time, the oath is for you to swear that you will uphold the Constitution of the United States. Now, Donald Trump has already said that when he took the oath the first time, he didn't really believe in it. You think I'm lying? Go look it up. He said it. We've played it on the show a bunch of times. Donald Trump does not believe in the Constitution. He doesn't believe in laws. He believes that he is a messiah, a king, an emperor, and that all the institutions we have to protect against that are there to help him become that. That's what he's saying. And he's saying you voted for that. And some people did. A lot of people didn't. But this is where we are now.
I'm seeing. I heard there's rumblings on the internet that he may be having problems with the president of El Salvador because, according to what I've found out, the agreement they had was convicted criminals be stored there, and obviously none of them were convicted. And now that that's the guys, because he gets money from NATO. Or from the UN, one or the other, whichever one does that. Yeah, he gets a lot of funding, like $300 million, I think he gets annually from them.
That's going to dry up if he's taking in
if they're taking
convicted felons, just people off the street that are brown.
If they're committing crimes against humanity, which is human trafficking, is what this is. That funding is going to dry up, and Donald Trump, the $6 million he's paying them versus $300 million. I guarantee Donald Trump eventually this is going to bite him in the ass. This could be what brings him down, and hopefully we get everybody back.
Well, there will be human trafficking lawsuits brought on this administration by our people, by people in this country, hopefully our elected representatives. But you got to understand, like Donald Trump is telling you right now, what we are seeing is the courts consistently saying, no, you're not allowed to do this. Donald Trump will tell you over and over again that the laws are what are in the way to allow him to do what he wants. Yes, because laws are meant to prevent criminals from being fucking criminals. And they're there to prevent people like Donald Trump from becoming dictators and becoming horrible monsters, just taking people off the street and sending them to go die in prisons that we have satellite footages from. Okay. So when he's telling you that the government and the laws and everything are stopping him from doing what he wants to do, that's it. It's not deeper than that. He means it. He wants to do what he wants, regardless of the Constitution. He does not respect it, believe in it, understand it, or care about it.
That's Sally, what I'm saying. Like we can have, thank you, Sally, so much. We can have a difference of opinion on how this country should be run. But the one thing that we have to agree on is that the president has to abide by the Constitution of the United States. Can't we at least agree on that? Because I thought you guys, the right, were the pioneers of the Constitution, the champions of the First and Second Amendment. And law and order. Well, you elected a convicted criminal who was adjudicated for sexual assault, among other accusations that involve underage girls. I mean,
then that
but you didn't want to believe all that
for the Pope. Then you don't have to worry because he's the Pope. It's only the little boys he wants. But we know Donald Trump is attracted to little girls, so and that's not allegedly. He could fuck off. I don't care.
I know, right? At this point. But let me play one more video before we get out of here. This is Donald Trump basically telling you guys that it's going to be a shit Christmas. That you may only be able to buy 2 dolls instead of 30. I'm not sure where he gets these examples, but this is what we're dealing with. Oh my God.
Get ready forget July 4th. Christmas is screwed.
Weird. Yeah, we're cooked. We're cooked. Yeah. Okay, let's go.
When will you speak to President Xi of China? That'll happen. I mean, look, right now, and I told you before, they're having tremendous difficulty because their factories are not doing business. They made $1 trillion with Biden, $1 trillion, even $1.1 trillion with Biden selling us stuff. Much of it we don't need. You know, somebody said, "Oh, the shelves are going to be open." Well, maybe the children will have 2 dolls instead of 30 dolls. You know, and maybe the $2 will cost a couple of bucks more than they would normally. But we're not talking about something that we have to go out of our way. They have ships that are loaded up with stuff, much of which, not all of it, but much of which we don't need. And we have to make a fair deal. We've been ripped off by every country in the world, but China, I would say, is the leading one, the leading candidate for the chief ripper offer.
Trump is playing. He said that he's talking to like 200 countries.
There's not 200 countries on the planet.
No. We might have 200 deals.
He's close. I think there's like 194 countries. But how about this? This is what you need to see is happening right now, because something that no media is covering, and this is thing that I am not going to like. I'm not a horn tooter, which is a weird phrase that I'm never going to say again. But I've said this for a very long time on this show, that if Donald Trump gets the chance, he's going to take all those January 6 criminals that were convicted, through due process and found guilty by years. Okay. He's letting them out, and he's going to then let them be his own little lieutenants in his private army that is now going to take orders just from him.
Right.
And the reason I know he's doing that, and it's coming true, is because now he's talking about paying restitution to all the January 6ers to pay back all of what they were told to pay. So if they were told to pay $1 million, he's going to take $1 million of your taxpayer money and give it to some scumbag who shat on the Capitol wall and wrote his name on it. And you think I'm making this up? The Trump administration has already agreed to pay the family of Ashley Babbitt, the terrorist who would not follow orders like they always say you're supposed to do. American taxpayers will now be forced to give likely millions of dollars to the family of a January 6th insurrectionist who stormed the Capitol. So if you want to talk about government efficiency, I don't fucking see it, because paying people that stormed the Capitol and wouldn't follow orders and unfortunately lost their lives because they were brainwashed by a crook and a treasonous scumbag, we're paying that person's, we're sorry that your person was a lawless piece of crap. Sorry.
Think about this. These people were convicted through the court system with video evidence in a lot of cases. Got a fair trial and were found guilty. And now they're getting paid money, while people that have a different skin tone who didn't shit on the Capitol walls or just walking around in a bull's hat or finger tattoos is getting picked up and sent to a different country. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, all the Jan 6ers were housed in the United States. They weren't sent to El Salvador. Just think about that for a second. People that have brown skin are being sent without any rhyme or reason to a hellhole.
No due process.
No due process whatsoever. That to me is insane. But the people that shit on the Capitol walls and tried to overturn an election.
The people that brought zip ties so that they could hold Congress people and senators hostage. The people that said if they found Nancy Pelosi, they would kill her. The people that made gallows and said that if the vice president didn't do an illegal thing and give the election to Trump, they would find him and kill him. This is the same vice president that wouldn't get into his limo because he didn't trust who was driving it on that day. Those are the people that he let out, is now going to give money to. And guess what? I didn't confirm this, but I saw someone post about it. It wasn't like just nobody. It was on one of the normal news sources that I respect and trust, but it was something to the effect of they're working to make sure that legally, now that they were pardoned, all those people are allowed to run for office. So guess who's going to be running for local office and local school boards? People who were treasonous criminals on January 6th are going to start running for office.
Yeah.
See how this is happening? See what he's building around him? It's called Gilead. Go look it up.
Yeah, no shit, right? All right, guys, that's all we have for today's show. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you all for your support. I want to call you out by name, some of you, but some of you have donated, not only multiple times, but some of you have donated serious amounts of money. But again, we all the stuff that we've accomplished is thanks to you. But we are asking again for more help. But if you know anybody that knows anybody that has money, tell them
maybe has some, donate some equipment.
anything, equipment too. We don't actually need money. We just need equipment. If you guys are not able to, all we really want you to do is like, subscribe, comment, share this video. Let people know that we are fighting back. We're taking a stand. For those of you that don't want to go out into the protests, you can watch them here because we go out into the streets. Now, I think we can finally say that we're actual activists after. I mean, you've been to 3 protests this year. I've been to 5.
How about this?
I think it's official.
I've participated in activism. Am I ever going to consider myself someone that helps anything? Probably not. But that's a psychological thing I got to work for.
Yep. And don't forget to visit also in the comments in the description of the video is fightagainstfascism.org, our organization that we now belong to. That's who helped us. That's who we were with in DC. That's all of us put it together.
Let me tell you, a bunch of dedicated people focused on veterans, focused on American history and protecting those that have protected us and still protect us. Diana, if you're still watching, people like you, people like Tom, people like everyone who showed up at the rally. We are
Matt, all those guys.
Matt, we are privileged to be associated with you, and we are going to continue to do everything we can to help.
Yeah, definitely. So we love you all. Thank you for the support. We'll be back on tomorrow night at 9 p.m. with comedian James Russell for another weekly episode of The Derp State. And then we have another episode on Tuesday at 9 p.m. We're going 3 episodes a week. We're all gas, no breaks right now.
Yep.
And I'll be getting to activism work. I'll be going to protests on the 10th.
Yeah, keep us updated on that. I still mean to look for the local one near me, but keep us updated on what's going on with that.
Yeah, I got to figure out how to multi-stream because I'd like to multi-stream the meetings. I want people to see that the boomers are out in force, man. The boomers are really out.
Can't you just do a mini setup like we did? You know those.
I do. I just don't have a laptop. That's the only thing I'm missing is I can do it, but I just don't have a laptop.
Is there stream out?
I'll figure it out. Yeah, but I don't know if I could run that. I'll figure it out.
We'll figure it out. But yeah, whatever.
I'm in contact with the people that are organizing the whole thing, so I'll be part of it.
You are shameless. I love it.
I will talk to anybody, bro. I will talk to anybody. I swear. All right, love everybody. Have a good rest of your day, and we'll talk to you soon.